Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Previously on the Old Ways podcast.
But apparently, this isn't the first time a murder such as this has happened in the city.
Really?
A year or two ago, there was a series of murders.
I could ring Miss Carlyle.
I know she's reticent to speak about it.
I can be pretty persuasive when I want to be.
Several years ago, my husband became concerned when some locals started turning up missing. They don't take what they say real seriously, you understand me?
I do understand.
Yeah, so we raised all sorts of hell about this. And the police in the 14th precinct, they couldn't be bothered. And thank you for joining us again on the Old Ways podcast. My name is Michael. I am your keeper for the evening, and we have a special session for you tonight. We have a will to read. To my right,
it's Lonnie. I'll be playing Lawrence Edward Oliver Forsyth, man of not enough sleep.
Man of not. Well, you know, it's going around. It's going around. And to his right,
I'm Morgan. I play Lillian Lane, and she's a woman that gets probably way too much sleep.
Way too much. What is way too much sleep? Sorry,
Those are all English words, but in that order, they don't make any sense.
Right. At the end of the table.
This is Jake. I play Jack Doyle, private investigator, and apparently I just like to get in police officers' faces.
I think it's more he likes to strike back at the people he left. I think you got something against police officers.
I might have a chip on my shoulder.
You might. Okay, to his right then.
This is James. I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tattenbach, who may be surgically removing the chip on Doyle's shoulder.
Perhaps in some way. And then to his right.
Tiffany, I'm playing Maeve O'Shea, and I'll just salt his chip for him.
That makes sense. Like in a circle, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea. So, good morning. It is Monday, January 19th. All of you in different locations around the New York area. Nope. January 19th.
We're in January.
We're in January?
We've been in
we
January.
We were in June.
Stop. The time traveling episode hasn't happened yet. Yes, we're in January. It is not June.
It's been January.
We did not fast forward 6 months. That would be wild.
When is the
We're
mirror,
all like,
when is the
where are
mirror
we?
darkly?
Right?
Yes, this is not that episode of Black Mirror. So, January 19th, Monday, you all have risen much like Christ. No, not like Christ. You've risen and you have arrived at the offices of Carlton Ramsey. It's on 124th Street and Lexington, which is north of where you are, at the Hotel Gerard. And you have arrived or do arrive in some relative close fashion to one another. So, Miss Lane, I assume that your driver is dropping you off or waiting outside?
That's correct.
Okay. So, your car pulls up, the cab pulls up, another car pulls up shortly thereafter. You see Jonah Kensington get out. He greets you just with a wave. And then shortly thereafter, as you're about to go in, another car pulls up and you see Miss Lane get out.
Yeah, Miss Lane, your 8 o'clock appointment.
Mr. Doyle. As a matter of fact, it is.
I should have known.
You should have.
Kensington nods to you and gestures up the stairs. Let's I suppose we should get on with this.
Absolutely.
You walk into a small but functional law office. You've had a chance to kind of look around. After a few seconds, you realize there's just enough seats for everybody in here. There's some jazz music playing in the background. It sounds like it's on some sort of phonograph that's being played. You see Willis Lai. She's here. Carlton's niece. Looking a little bit more together, I guess. She's not chipper by any means. She's not happy, but she is together.
She's a teenager.
Miss Lai.
Yeah.
And then you see the boisterous, somewhat gregarious Carlton Ramsey come out from his office. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad to see you. Please, come in. Come in. Would you like a drink? Anybody?
Absolutely.
I know it's early, but...
Absolutely.
Okay. He gets out a couple of glasses. You see him gather a decanter of brown liquor from a cabinet. Probably looks expensive.
He seems awful chipper for a guy reading a will.
Yeah, maybe.
Can we make a psychology roll just on the off chance?
Sure, go ahead. I'm not sure what off chance you'd like, but
No. Well, I didn't get it anyway, so there you go.
hard to say why he might be so chipper.
Yeah, I mean, but this is
if that's what
the
you're
reading of his client's will. Not usually a time for, celebratory glasses of liquor.
He pours glasses for each of you, those of you who are interested. You see Willa bring in a chair for Jonah. Jonah sits down, and then the rest of you kind of get seated. She brings a chair in, and she has a pad of paper and a pencil with her. Carlton sits back in his desk and kind of takes in a breath and looks out over the lot of you. I must say, it is good to have friends. And so that is my toast to you. Come what may.
Hear, hear.
Jonah takes out his pocket watch and checks it. Mr. Ramsey, I would appreciate it if you'd get going. You see, Carlton almost look a little... Annoyed is the wrong word, but he looks off-put. Ever the businessman, Jonah? I still can't believe... he's dead. To be perfectly honest. Can I tell you? I expect Jackson to walk through that door, ready to regale me with some story about someplace he's been.
Out of character, I expect that too, but it'll go much worse than he's thinking.
Doctor, you see Ramsey stare at the door for a half second. And then kind of silently nod to himself and continue. Barring any extraordinary circumstances, it is my duty at 3 minutes after 8 o'clock, as the executor of his will, to read the will of Jackson Elias. He opens up his desk drawer. You hear a bit of a creak, and you see him go to the phonograph player in the corner. He stops the record that's playing. And then he kind of switches a few things around there. And you see him pull out a cylindrical object.
Like a wax
Like as a cylinder, yeah.
Okay.
He takes the cylinder itself out and unseals it, and then screws it into place, and then prepares to kind of turns to you all. Are you prepared?
Yes.
All of you? He starts the machine up.
Greetings from beyond the grave. By now, I'm sure you've learned that what I've left you is a whole heap of trouble. I understand if you just want to walk away from the whole thing. Hell, I'm dead now, and I'm still wishing I could have walked away from it. But I couldn't do that. And I don't think you're going to either. You've been there for me in the past when I needed you. It's too late to save me, but I hope I can count on you one last time. I've been traveling all over the world, pulling at threads. Believe me, I'm on to something big. Carlton and Jonah can give you some of the details. They got some of my papers and notes. But there's still so much to follow up on, so much that still needs to be done. I'm assuming I've been murdered, and I'm counting on you to bring my killers to justice. If I just got mowed down by Charlie Cardwell, consider me embarrassed and you off the hook. But I suspect it'll be something else. And it's not going to be easy to follow it out to the end. You don't need to finish my book. None of you can write worth a damn. I'm sorry for all this.
Thanks, Jackson.
I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Remember me. Your friend, Jackson Elias.
Ramsey's turns in. Shuts down the machine. Now that was delivered less than 48 hours before you found him in the Hotel Chelsea. It's important to understand what happens now. He takes out a folded piece of paper. You see in big calligraphy letters on the top of it, last will and testament. I have been made executor and have been given full power of returning over the estate of Jackson Elias. And I have been given complete authority to liquidate his assets, which I will do by noon today. I will be using these assets to set up a fund. This fund will be accessible by anyone in this room who is willing to continue Elias's investigation. I will make disbursements as necessary, although for any large purchases I will require receipts. I am willing to assist with any sort of equipment purchases, travel documents, ship tickets. It is my instruction to assist anyone investigating this, monetarily speaking, as best I can. That includes legal bills and medical expenses. If for whatever reason those of you get involved with this investigation split up, I'm happy to serve as your centralized point of contact. Now, what I need to know, what Jackson is asking for, is who here among you is willing to continue?
Doctor raises his hand.
Okay.
I am definitely interested in following this, finding his killers.
And I am also.
I have already given my promise to someone else that I would do so, even without the money, or whatever.
See, Mr. Kensington, Jonah stands up. This is all well and good, Carlton, but I don't think I'm going anywhere. Prospero House has more than enough on its plate. So if you don't mind, I will adjourn now. The two of them nod at each other, and Jonah takes his leave. Door shuts behind him. After all funds are liquidated, the estate stands at, or should stand at, near $50,000. Now, being a businessman myself, as far as the legal profession is concerned, I would just ask that we spend what is his legacy in the right way. Right?
Right.
Now, Miss Lane, obviously, you are going to have to get to know your fellows here in the room a little bit better, hopefully. I understand, of course, as I'm sure many of them do now, your own financial situation is probably far different than anyone else's in this room. I mean no disrespect by that, of course, but it is important, as anyone who deals with anything that Elias is rubbed up against, it's important to be open and understand who is in the room and where your cards lie. Now, the question is, for the five of you, what is the next step?
Well, I think we definitely touched a nerve with the captain.
Yeah.
Which captain?
Robeson.
Yeah, he came and paid me a visit yesterday.
I must confess, I'm not familiar with Captain Robeson.
He is the man in charge of the investigation.
Which investigation?
Well, the captain over the investigation into both Jackson Elias' death and...
The 8 other people who disappeared.
The Adams case.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he'd be out of 14th Precinct then?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
He came in tried to lean on me yesterday.
Not unfamiliar territory, I'm sure, for a police captain in New York.
But it was after we went and looked at the Juju house, and after we found out that what was her name? The man that's in jail.
Mrs. Adams.
Miss Adams. Yeah, Mrs. Adams. We found out from her that police have been going in and out of the Juju house.
Millie Adams.
Yeah, Millie.
Yes. All right, so there's something going on at this Juju house.
That is probably going to get us in some trouble with the law.
I will have you know that I am no stranger to you being in trouble. Or Mr. Doyle, for that matter. As it was me who sprung Mr. Doyle from jail back in Chicago when you had that little issue a few years ago. Thanks again to Jackson Elias for having me come through Chicago.
Yes.
Now, I suppose that this means that there are a few different things to investigate for you. I assume your plate is probably already full.
Quite.
Yes.
So what's the next step then? The Juju house?
Yes.
One?
The Juju house. And then we want to go talk to
Hamilton.
Adams.
Hamilton?
In Sing Sing. Adams.
Oh, Hilton Adams.
Hilton
Adams.
Sorry.
It's all right.
And wasn't there? Didn't she mention a saloon or a tavern?
Yes.
Teddy's Saloon.
Another place in Harlem, I think.
Yeah, it's
It's actually not far from here.
Some of his friends drink there.
The Harlem Hellfighters.
Yeah.
Wow, good men.
I heard of them From my side.
Yes. All right, so
Spooky man.
you have a couple of threads then. Juju House, this Hilton Adams that you want to talk to, and then...
We also, well, he called us here to look into the Carlyle case as well.
Okay, so...
And the Carlyle thread is pretty tied up with a lot of what's going on here. Because we've got the Miskatonic professor. We've got... I took notes on it.
It looked like, from what I heard, friends, of course, at Chelsea Hotel, that Jackson's room had been rummaged through by the time the cops got there for the body.
Yeah.
Was that you all, or was it
No.
them?
Well,
We
It
were
was
there.
them.
Some of it was us.
we have client privilege, attorney-client privilege, right?
Technically, no.
Actually, as you are all named in his will, and I am the executor of the state, this is all attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
I can't divulge any of it legally.
Oh, then...
We
yeah.
were there shortly after, and very shortly after Jackson was killed.
How shortly after, Mr. Doe? Be very careful here.
We chased the culprits,
I see.
and apparently we have killed 2 of them.
All right, well,
Somebody wasn't sharing.
2 of them died.
I think it is important, Miss Lane, to point out that Mr. Doyle is, of course, just being careful about what he chooses to share at a moment's glance with you. Not that that's a difficult thing to do.
They rummaged his room, and then we picked up a few things, tried to find some clues before we left.
All right. So we have the Carlyle thread to pull on.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a handful of threads that all could lead in different directions.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm hoping that once we tie up the things here, we can go to Arkham and then maybe go to Kenya?
London.
London first.
Oh, yeah, London.
Oh, that's where he came from.
Right.
I mean, before he got on the boat, before he came home.
Yes, but that's
Well-
where he went before he went to Kenya.
Right.
Or
As
Carlisle
well.
did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have several places we might be going.
We have someone we're looking for as well.
Who are you looking for?
Hypatia
Hypatia Masters.
Masters, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't read my own writing.
Ramsey doesn't say that. That's her name, Hypatia Masters.
Mm-hmm.
Masters. Masters.
Evidently a young socialite who was palling around with Carlyle before he left. You would think there would be more knowledge in the newspapers about a love interest or a possible relationship, but not a word.
That does seem strange.
I plan on calling on Erica Carlyle.
Really. I've heard she's difficult to talk to.
I'm sure she probably is.
We need the books in her safe on the itinerary that her brother was on.
What?
It was in the letters.
Oh. I
Well.
missed that.
How will you get a hold of her?
Through family connections.
Fair enough.
Do you know if there's any evidence or hard evidence that Jack Brady is still alive?
Unfortunately, Jackson didn't keep me completely abreast of everything he was doing. I think partially to shield me from possibly knowing things. You may want to dig into the entire expedition.
Yes.
Well, that's what we've been... Well, we got sidetracked. That was originally what we were doing.
We got distracted.
Yeah.
That never happens, right? I don't know.
I didn't know if you heard anything because Jackson had, at the end, basically, he pretty much said that Jack Brady was still alive, that he was not killed with the rest of the party.
Which means there'd be a survivor.
Right.
The
If
Carlyle
he's a survivor, we definitely have to talk to him.
Yes.
Which means
On the letter.
you'll need to get to Erica Carlyle.
Yeah.
So the culprits that you chased out of Jackson's hotel room, do we think that they're the ones that murdered him, or were they just rummaging
It
through his room?
is most likely that they were the ones that murdered him.
They were cultists.
Okay. Did they have any markings or tattoos on their bodies?
No, their bodies were covered, but by the garb that they were wearing.
Long red scarf.
Around their heads.
What's that? You hear Ramsey ask.
Prospero House Publishing, author submission.
Oh, sure. Something Elias gave Jonah?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was also talking about. Maybe it was in this too.
There's literally nothing better than these props.
Yeah.
They're so awesome.
So, this was when he was talking crazy that Jonah was pretty convinced that he had just lost his mind. So, he didn't take any of this stuff seriously, which some of it, I don't know, but some of it has parts, you know.
Well, you all know how to get a hold of me. I have a lot of work to do to clear up his estate this morning.
Yeah, we have places to go visit and stuff. We'll keep you abreast of any situation.
He stands up from the desk and goes over to kind of not behind him. It's behind him, but more to the right. And you see him open up a safe. And he opens up the safe. And in the safe, you hear... Well, actually, you hear something jingle. And then you see something quite shiny in there. He takes out several gold objects.
Okay.
What do you have there?
Oh, trinkets. He takes them out and kind of sets them up and then takes out a bag and begins putting them very carefully into the bag.
Brought to you by Jackson?
Yeah, it's Peruvian gold.
Ah.
Oh.
I've not seen that in a while.
Wait. Are they figures?
No. It's more like dishes and cups and saucers and.
I was thinking, the metal piece.
There's no gold filigree line here to worry about.
Okay.
These are definitely not ceremonial pieces, but they're crafted pieces.
Okay.
If you need anything more of me after today, give the phone a ring here. We'll pick it up. She'll know how to get a hold of me. And then my recommendation, and I'm by no means a field investigator like you all, but my recommendation is pick a path and walk it. Run it down as far as you can. That's what we do in the legal profession anyway. If you think that Erica Carlyle knows something, which I'll guarantee you she does, then make it a point to get a hold of her. If you think that talking to Hilton Adams in Sing Sing prison, it would be useful to know more about what happened in Harlem, then by God, do it.
Yeah, I think Hilton will probably know more names of,
Hilton-
officers.
Hilton and the Hellfighters will have more names.
Yeah.
Office.
So at least we know who to watch out for. Now that Doyle's been made, I guess I'll be going to the Juju house. Unless he wants,
I'll still go with you.
Okay.
All right, then.
But I think Silas will be immediately on edge.
Well,
Maybe he'll slip up then.
yeah.
Silas?
Or Cyrus.
No, Silas is his name.
Yeah.
It's actually... It's
Yeah.
Ramsey actually, like,
Oh.
he's not heard the name before.
Silas is the owner, we do believe, of the Juju house. Silas Quain.
Hmm. Interesting.
Oh?
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard the name before. I don't know him from anywhere, but it's interesting that this Juju house has come up a couple times now, and just in the past 15 minutes.
Indeed. That seems to be our next and hottest lead, as it were.
All right, then. Well, good luck. Godspeed. And whatever you do, if you need something, ask.
Absolutely.
All right.
Carlton, thank you for your time.
He pours another drink and sits back in his lawyerly desk and
Chugs half of it.
no, he takes a swig and he gets out a set of papers and starts filling them out.
Doing lawyer things.
That's what lawyers do. They fill out paperwork. And they talk to people and they drink. So from here, where do the five of you go? And by all means, he tells you, listen, use the outer law office room if you need more space to sort your thoughts or decide what you're going to do. This place is as much as yours during normal business hours unless I have another client in here.
Oh, it's the new doctor's office.
Yeah, right.
So let's make a list of the places
We
that
can't meet at
have
the
to
doctor's
go
office
first.
anymore.
That's a great idea, Mr. Forsyth. Why don't you make a list?
That is a fabulous idea.
Or someone who's good at list making make a list.
So,
Like, somebody that has a highlighter around or... oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, no.
I have color-coded pens.
We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Okay.
You're fine.
All right,
Don't.
so we need to talk to Hilton Adams,
Hilton Adams at Sing Sing.
talk to the Hellfighters at Teddy's bar or
Yep.
saloon,
Teddy Saloon, yeah.
talk to Erica Carlyle,
Yes.
and somebody needs to talk to Silas Quinn at the Juju House.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if we're going to talk to him. We're going to at
Or
least check the place
Take the
out.
case
I
out.
want to know if he has, like, legit occult stuff in there because I'll be able to tell.
Will you detect magic or something?
Yes.
Finger waiver.
Soon, maybe.
So the question then becomes, if that's your aim is to go to the Juju House, who, if anyone, is going to go see Hilton Adams?
I will go see Hilton Adams.
Do the doctor and Mr. Forsyth want to go see Hilton Adams, and me
We'll
and
go
Miss
to Sing Sing.
O'Shea will
We
go
will-
to the Juju House.
And then she'll talk to
Erica Carlyle.
Because Sing Sing's a bit north of here, isn't it?
It is. It is, yep.
Perhaps we should go to Teddy's first. then
Well,
go
it's
see
the
Hilton.
morning. There's probably not a lot of people at Teddy's at
I wouldn't
8:30
think
in the
so, no.
morning. So it's one of those, like, if
I'm
we
not
go
going
to
to Teddy's for that. I'm going to drink.
we probably want to go there in the evening. So that's something we can do later in the day.
Could be a group trip.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
She'll fit in great.
I've never
Uh-huh.
been to a saloon.
I'm sure all of us will fit in great.
Well, actually,
I'm just
I
saying.
Would,
Yeah.
I would prefer that Miss Lane not go with us when we go to Teddy's.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
She's going to have to get her feet wet at some point.
Yes, but drawing attention because people know her.
It's like,
I love it when somebody speaks for me,
I'm
especially a man.
I'm still.
I'm glad you like that, man.
No, that was sarcasm.
No, there's,
I don't recognize it from women.
I can wear civilian clothes.
I'm just saying it could get a little rough at Teddy's.
I have a shotgun.
I'm not that rough.
Madam, a woman in your station shouldn't be seen in a
He's really going to get along for this fine.
establishment like that.
You sound just like my father.
Listen, I have a
interesting
feeling there
observation.
will be plenty of opportunity for you to rub elbows with the underclass of society and probably shoot somebody.
I am not like that
I
whatsoever.
think you would be much.
Yes.
I think it would be much more productive for the investigation if you spent a wonderful day with Miss Carlyle.
Yeah, and I would like to point out, too, that...
You'll probably have a lot
Maybe
more
she
fun
wants to
than
go
we
to the
will.
saloon too.
Oh, yeah. That's totally going to happen.
I would like to point out that we are also conducting a serious investigation, so if you are doing this to rebel against your family, we are not it.
No, when I went to Miskatonic University, there was an incident there that got me into these investigations. This isn't my first rodeo.
You've been to a rodeo?
I have.
What's that like?
They have horses.
Ooh, I like horses.
You would get along with your father.
Actually, any connections you have with Miskatonic may come in handy as well. A little bit down the road.
And we can certainly
Did
use
you
those.
forget him? Yeah,
No,
right?
no, I know you both have connections. You
You're
probably
just
don't
chopped
have the
liver,
same
babe.
connections.
You're last week's female protagonist.
It's pretty funny.
No, you probably both have different connections at
That's
Miskatonic.
true. I mean,
Yours are low. No.
No. Oh, wow.
Sorry.
somebody kick her down a well.
I'm gonna need you to get me a glass of water.
She'd be like, oh, in the first season I got a bunch of spells and I'm going to learn them all. Just you wait, lady.
Hold still.
We'll have a little demo.
Okay. So, I guess the question is are the group of you going to go to Teddy's Saloon? Now, obviously no one's there in the morning.
Right.
But we can redline travel time. If we want to spin the clock forward 6-8 hours until it's 4 or 5 o'clock, we can go to Teddy's Saloon right now. That's not an issue.
Well, I think we want to do a couple of the other things first.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have it's
So-
Monday.
Well, I would have to
It is Monday.
contact Carolyn Adams. Or
I mean, you don't
Million.
have
Bill
to.
Adams.
You don't have to go to Sing Sing today. We can go tomorrow.
I would rather go today I would rather get that out of the way now. Sing Sing is not a pleasant place to be, I assume.
I don't know. I've never been there, but I would imagine you're right. Okay. So, we got one person who wants to go to Sing Sing, and is just you going there? Is that what it is?
thought
I
the
mean,
doctor was
unless
going.
anybody else wants to go with me.
I know that you would go,
basis. I would go.
but we have a lot of places to cover.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
true.
So you say. So if we earmark Mr. Forsyth for you to go to Sing Sing and set that up, we can do that. And then you, Miss Lane, are obviously going to reach out to, in some way, and get a hold of Erica Carlyle.
Correct.
In an attempt to, anyway. Your plan is to go back to the Juju house.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume that Mr. Doyle is going to go with you in
Yeah.
case you decide to just burn the place to fucking ground.
Which could happen.
It could happen.
I don't know Fireball yet, but
Yeah. You don't want to. And then the question would be is, Doctor, what does that leave you with? Does that leave you going to Teddy's? By yourself?
I thought
Honestly,
we were all
No,
going to
no,
go.
no,
in the
everybody's going to
evening.
Teddy's.
Later.
Later.
Like after everyone has done their other stuff,
Yeah.
we can get together this evening.
I'm copacetic with that, but
Okay.
I just want to mentally get a plan.
Right.
No.
Right.
Okay. So
That'll be a group thing. It'll be a
Right.
bonding experience.
Except Lillian.
Right.
She's got to sit her ass at home.
evidently, Mr. Forsyth has made that decision for you. You're not allowed to go to a saloon.
But I may just show up whether he wants me to or not.
That's kind of your bag, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my thing.
Okay.
She's suicidal, it's fine.
I'll bring my shotgun.
It's evidently.
And I would like to go to the Teddy's after you talk to
Right.
Hilton because
Right.
there might
That's
be information
kind of
he
the other
has
reason I want to go to see
that we want to ask
Hilton
them about.
immediately, so that way I can talk to people who are still on the outside.
Right.
Okay. I think some of the stuff that we can do, I think one of the things we can do is, Miss Lane, how would you get a hold of Erica Carlyle?
I would probably ring her secretary because I'm sure
You
she
probably
has
would.
one.
Yes, you would imagine she does. Most rich people have secretaries. You could ring from the office here. That's not a problem. There's a phone here. You ring and you get a hold of a gentleman by the name of Bradley Gray.
Gentleman secretary.
Yes.
How progressive.
Well, she is a Republican after all. No, I'm kidding. What? It's the 20s. That's the way it was. Things are different.
Are they though?
So, the gentleman picks up the phone and he says, "This is Bradley Gray for Miss Carlyle. How can I help you?" Who?
Mr. Gray, this is Lillian Lane.
Oh, Miss Lane, how are you?
I am fantastic. I was wondering if you'd be able to pencil me in with Miss Carlyle this afternoon sometime.
This afternoon?
If at all possible, I'd love to discuss a business opportunity with her.
Business opportunity. Well,
I'm going to the saloon. Come with me.
I suppose I could. We are familiar, obviously, with your family's business. My question is, beyond it being business, she will ask what business. Much like you, she fretters over her time. So, what kind of business opportunity?
I'm looking to fund an expedition.
Really?
Absolutely.
Where to?
Shanghai.
Alrighty then. Morgan, go ahead and give me a credit rating roll.
Make it a good one.
All right. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh.
Trust fund doesn't come with that's right.
You said a bad word.
My credit rating's an 85 and I rolled an 88.
So, what you could do is you could spend 3 points of luck and bring your 88 down to an 85,
Okay. Which gets me.
which gets you a success.
Okay.
So you would take your, go ahead and mark off your luck. I suppose Miss Carlyle could be available for you, Miss Lane. I mean, obviously we understand each other, how it is a pressing time, but I don't know that I can get her available today.
Have you ever been to the racetrack?
Yes, Miss Lane, several times.
Have you ever been up close at the racetrack?
Maybe not up
Like-
close.
Met the jockeys?
Can't say that I have.
How would you like to?
Perhaps a moment, private box.
By yourself.
I don't know. Perhaps, I suppose.
So, we have our own private stable at Belmont.
Yes.
And if you were to get me in with Miss Carlyle today, I could probably make that happen for you to spend a Saturday afternoon in that box and at the stable.
Fast talk. Roll fast talk. You are trying to fast talk him.
I know. Alright, let's not roll an 88 this time, because
Yeah.
that would suck. I got a 44, and my fast talk is 65.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I will make sure that Miss Carlyle has an hour of time around 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. I won't be a minute late.
Good. Meet us at DiTullio's. It's a Italian-ish fine dining restaurant here that you're somewhat familiar with.
I know the place.
Good.
And the time again?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. I will be there. Thank you so much.
I look forward to it. You hang up the receiver.
I have a meeting at 3 o'clock with Miss Carlyle.
Fantastic.
And all it took was an afternoon at Belmont with my father's horses.
Terrible.
Terrible for that gentleman.
Yes, sir. Oh, okay. You needed something? I think that's an excellent point to call it on tonight. So when we reconvene, we have a trip to the prison, Sing Sing. We have a meeting with Miss Carlyle. We have a potential trip to the Juju house, right? And then, of course, there's always the saloon that awaits, well, pretty much everybody but Miss Lane.
Yes.
Well, we might need a drink after everything.
You might need a drink, that's true, or a shotgun. Because
Shotgun.
evidently there's a shotgun as well.
Got shotgun.
Well,
Listen, Tex, you need to dial it down.
Listen, I like to shoot things sometimes.
Well, who doesn't? But
thank you all for listening and joining us for another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. Again, we appreciate you listening and sharing and subscribing. We see you outries around the world, the far-flung places from us, far from the United States, Sweden and Norway and Finland, and folks in Indonesia that are listening, and even South Africa and Ukraine. All you people are wonderful. I do want to send a special request, and that is for North Dakota, South Dakota, Alaska, and Hawaii. They're the 4 states of the 50 in the United States that we're missing from our list. So if you can, one of you in just one of those places, listen to the show, that would be wonderful. We'd really appreciate it. We will see you next week.